Grace, we are going to create drama. Yes. We are going to create chaos. And we are going to create inner pain.
Kabisa.
How true is that?
We are always creating.
Look at that.
We are always creating. The moment you sit there and you start to self-talk, anaweza nifanyia hivi aje. What are they thinking? Who do they think they are? You are creating.
Look at that.
And you know the end result is going to be war.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So today, as we talk about how to create safe spaces within our marriage and how to make sure that we create peace instead of war, tutaongelelea more about that.
Exactly.
But in the meantime, I'm Grace Kariuki, marriage and family therapist. I'm also a mother and a wife, and I'm a sister, and I am all these things. But I'm very passionate about helping people heal from unseen wounds that show up within your marriage. Wounds that showed up in every relationship I have ever had in my life, including my parental relationship. How I experienced my father, how I experienced my mother, and how I have experienced other relationships in my adult life, beginning with school, going into teenagehood, coming into college, and then going into work. But also how I have experienced God as a heavenly father because of my experience with my earthly father. So I try to help you, and I hold your hand and support you as you explore those places that you have ran away from, so that you understand why you react the way you react today. Because we are consistently creating. And what are we creating? Personal peace, personal safety. But then when we do that, unfortunately, we are destroying and tainting the very marriages that we want to build. And so we feel stuck. We feel helpless, powerless, and hopeless about the marriage. And that is how we are ending up either consistently fighting with our spouse or looking for somebody else outside of our spousal relationship. And then it creates this war zone that I am now not safe with the person tunajifunikianga blanketi moja naye. You know, there is nothing as vulnerable as a baby who has no power to protect themselves. And two people who are sleeping in bed at night, completely naked and feeling okay, feeling safe. You see? And then that safety, after some time, becomes tainted by war experiences within. And this now we are talking about, it can be physical, unfortunately, for some people. But it is very psychological, mental, and emotional. And that is what is important for us to address.
And you brought it out so well, Grace. And now that we're talking about here building peace. You know, Grace, many of us confuse peace with avoiding conflict. All right? What is the difference between true peace and silent avoidance in marriage?
Now, that I will say this personally, because I'm a phlegmatic melancholic. I choose peace not because I am allowing myself to go through the conflict, but because I am hoping that if I don't enter into the conflict, that we will not fight. So my choice of peace is not logical, it's emotional, because I don't feel safe. So I may look like I'm very peaceful, but I am not. So when I choose peace over intimacy, and what is intimacy? Intimacy is intimacy, being vulnerable, being open, being transparent within your relationship. And in the process of that, where you guys are not agreeing, I choose to disagree peacefully. You see? So the lie and the deception is that if I don't engage, then we won't fight. But you see now, if I don't engage, the fights become within our head. So there is cold war. We are not talking to each other in fight, but we can feel the disconnect because we are fighting within us. And so the first step to building that peace within our relationship, we must build peace within us. You see, so that I don't avoid. And everyone who is phlegmatic, and if you have not taken the test, msikilizaji, please do. Know thyself. And Aristotle, the philosopher, said, a life that is not examined is not worth living. You are just surviving. You're not experiencing life. So allowing ourselves to find peace within is really a step of looking at it. How come I am afraid to speak to my spouse about this particular subject? And why am I avoiding to tell them the truth? Because usually it's the truth we are avoiding to talk about. So if you find yourself, and I am a phlegmatic, so I understand very well how we protect ourselves by avoiding to get into a conflict space. Now, if you are, so if we look at the different temperaments, the 4 temperaments that we use, and some people, they know this because they have done it in their corporate trainings, the colors. So we have the blue, the red, the green, and the yellow. Whichever one you are going to come into conflict in a certain way. So the phlegmatic avoids, so they will do everything they can to avoid coming into the conflict space. The melancholic is going to avoid by deeply thinking about it. So they go into emotional shutdown as they they are trying to analyze what is really the problem. Now, the choleric, on the other hand, the choleric is coming at it, and they are saying we must resolve this right here and now. And in my way. You see? And then we have the sanguine, who is the one who is making light of everything. It's nothing. So the sanguine is going to avoid like the phlegmatic, but they are going to do it in a way that is trying to escape the space. So they will talk about it, but they will make it light. And that is where people feel, the melancholic who is dealing with the sanguine will think this person is not serious. They are not deep. They are not, because you see now the melancholic is trying to go to the root. The phlegmatic is trying to say, let's not fight. Kumbaya, let's just, let's be happy. Let's not talk about it. If it's not broken, don't fix it. You see? And then so if we understand where you come from, what is your inner talk, so that you can create the peace within. You cannot give what you don't have. You're going to be triggered to give what is within you. So the lie that if I don't deal with it, it will go away, is what everyone says. My partner likes to throw things under the rug. And I am so grateful. Let me share good news. Unajua saa zingine tunaongeanga tu bad news. Acha niseme good news. I want to do a shout out to men who are seeking therapy. And many of them, as we do these sessions, I do, by the way, every person who comes to me, I give them 6 sessions first. That one, I tell them, if you want to see movement, then you have to complete 6 sessions of personal therapy so that you understand yourself. And the insight that I see the men who especially the men who avoid. Unajua wanaume wanasema mimi natakanga tu amani, mimi sitaki kelele mingi. Then now they are saying, after 10 plus years of marriage, they are able to say, I really see what I did. And what I did is not handle situations as they happened. So they would allow themselves to hide the things under the rug. You see? And now they are saying, now I know, but they are feeling so defeated. Where do I start? Because on the other hand, who are they attracted to? They were attracted to the melancholic woman, who sometimes might be choleric as well. And so when they dropped the ball, because like Grace, I don't want to deal with it because I don't want to have to feel the emotions that comes with conflict, then the choleric, melancholic woman or the woman they married, what did they do? They picked up the ball and they started to run with it.
Yeah.
This man who is phlegmatic, sanguine, avoiding conflict, what they eventually start to say and to feel is what we call disrespect. Because how can you offer leadership if you keep dropping the ball?
Yeah.
And why are you dropping the ball? It's not because you don't care. It's because you are avoiding the war.
Yeah.
But you see, the problem is it's not going anywhere.
It is there.
It is there. So the skill to be able to see that your conflict situation in your marriage is not the end.
Yeah.
And it is not a bad thing. It's an opportunity for growth. And so we can talk more about now, what do you do? How do you actually change your mind? This is not just about change of behavior. It's the change of behavior and the change of mind. The change of mind that translates now to the change of behavior. Yes.
And I like the way you are linking it up,
Yes,
Grace.
yes.
But you've said a statement that has caught my attention, that you cannot give what you don't have.
Yes.
Which is very true.
Right.
And I want us to bring this war in
Yes.
our marriages
Yes.
and face it.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
This we're talking about here, we're talking about the drama.
Yes.
Okay? This drama, I want us to look at it as a three-legged stool.
Yes.
All right? On one side,
Yeah.
there is this victim.
Yes.
Right? The victim who says, I am being wronged.
Yes.
Okay?
How can you do this to
How
me?
can you do this to me?
Yes.
On the other leg, there is the villain.
Yes.
All right? Or who I'll call
Yes.
the persecutor.
Yes.
Okay.
Perpetrator.
They are the problem.
They are the problem.
That is their
Yes.
language. Okay? And then on the other leg, the rescuer.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I will fix this, or I take sides, or
Yes.
I'll automatically take sides.
Yes.
Look at these three legs of
Yes.
this particular drama
Yeah.
drama that we are going through in our marriage.
Yeah.
Let us begin with the victim. The victim who is always playing the victim
Yes.
mentality. I am being wronged all the
Yes.
time.
Yes.
You see, in as far as we are saying that we need to change the mind,
Yes.
there is this conversation and narrative
Yes.
that is built when the person is playing the victim
Yes.
role.
Yes.
And he tells himself that I'm going to say this part of the story.
Yes.
Okay? They tell the selective truth
Yes. Yes.
and withhold
Yeah.
the important details.
Yes.
You know why? Because it gives them a nice feeling to blame someone
Yes,
else.
yes.
How do we deal with that if at all we want to create peace within?
So one of the things, now if I were to think in terms of therapy,
Yeah.
then we would go back to this feeling you're having in your marriage today, that feeling of victimhood. Can you relate it to something that happened between the ages of 0 to 15?
Okay.
Because those are your formative years.
Yeah.
And it's very, very important to explore whether when you were in your formative years, the environment you grew up in was invalidating.
Okay.
So you couldn't express how you were feeling, or you expressed how you were feeling, and then you were dismissed, invalidated, or made to feel that you are a bad person for having those feelings.
Yeah.
Or you actually grew up in a home where your parents were dysregulated. So you learned that conflict is not a good thing. You learned that love is not safe.
Yeah.
Or you got confused. Is this really what love is? And so, because you are a human being, you are not going to say, there are very few people who don't get into relationships because of the wounds of childhood.
Yeah.
Most of us, we will be longing to be loved and to be accepted. And so we will find ourselves through our developmental stages getting to our 20s and we want to get married, which is all right. There is nothing wrong with that. However, we are going into these relationships hoping that the relationship we have, subconsciously we are hoping it is going to cover or heal whatever it is that we experienced when we were in our 0 to 15 years, because that's when life began for us. By the age of 9, we begin to make sense of what is going on. We question, and we begin to feel very self-conscious about what is going on within that experience. And most of us, it's almost like we normally grieve the first years of our experience with our parents, because there is always a breaking point.
Yeah.
When things shifted. Dad lost a job, somebody got sick, dad started drinking, or something just shifted. So when I work with people and I say, tell me about your first 15 years of life, and I say, start with 0 to 6, because usually that's when your first memories, around age 5 to 6, you can be able to identify 1 or 2 memories. Who do you see in your life then?
Yeah.
And people will say, oh, you remember Wimpy? You were very young.
I was very young.
Ama bado ulikuwa Western. Umerudi Nairobi.
Nikichunga ng'ombe.
So I think it was Moi Avenue. Anyway, there was this fast food place that used to be called Wimpy.
Yeah.
And those days, and Kenchik and those kinds of places where people would be taken for lunch after church on Sunday. So for those who grew up within the city. So you find people have memories of that. Of them going out and dad going, and those who are, they were well off, let's say, they had a car and then they would be driven there. Those who went to parks, those who came home and mom would make, or dad, there were these dads who used to do barbecue, nyama choma, or they would cook for the family on Sunday afternoons.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things, or uncles who would come and they would have a big family dinner. So people have those experiences. But then, by the time this marriage of their parents gets to 10 years, 7 years, and we have talked about the stages of marriage.
Sure.
Every one of us remembers the honeymoon ended. The goodness in the home shifted.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, everything changed. And we began to experience grief. And this grief for children, nobody talks to them.
Yeah.
There are people who there was a death. One of the parents died. So life experiences, they will cause us to experience the break from the love and acceptability, the peace, the security, and now we go into turmoil. And for marriages, because we have talked here before, you have the dream stage, then you have the drama stage, then you have the deepening stage. So during the drama stage, your first 7 years of marriage, there is a lot of chaos there.
Yeah.
And those chaos are developmental. You're getting to know each other. And therefore, when now we tend to have the thinking patterns, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Now there is a narrative that happens in my head that I am the victim. There are statements we tell ourselves, questions we have. Remember the grief process, there is the shock. So here I am, I have gotten to a marriage, a relationship. It's my choice. Now it's not my parents' my parents have, our parents create an environment for me. Because you see, your family of origin experience is very similar to your romantic relationships. Because it's the place where you feel seen and you're not supposed to feel shame, you're not supposed to feel unaccepted. It's the place you hope that you are going to feel fully accepted regardless of the way you are. And you are also hoping to fully accept another person regardless of who they are.
Yeah.
So when we don't get that, once we get into this relationship, I have chosen, because I have chosen to love this person, I have chosen to agree to be loved by them.
Yeah.
And I feel I'm in control now. Until then we have the honeymoon is gone, and sometimes this honeymoon of these relationships usually ends within 2 or 3 weeks. When we start to have conflict and you realize we agreed that we are meeting,
Yes.
and you come 30 minutes late, and you don't even tell me you are coming late.
Yes.
Or you show up with your beshte when I really wanted to just have time with you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or there is also the whole thing of we end up becoming too intimate too quickly, and I find myself I'm pregnant.
Okay.
And then once I'm pregnant, then the other person might say, oh my goodness, because we didn't plan for it. And now all these things are about after morning pill, whatever it is that we are going to kind of do. It creates already in that relationship, we start with conflict. It sends us now to the mental anguish.
Okay.
The question, so by the time, even if you guys get married after you have gotten pregnant and you didn't know each other, then what happens 5-7 years later, when the drama stage is at its peak, you start questioning, did she marry me because she was pregnant with my child?
Right.
Did he marry me because I was pregnant with the child? Because we started that relationship with emotional turmoil that we never talked through. Okay. Anyone who is listening to me and you are not married yet, and you are in a relationship, or you are going to get into a relationship, and things happen too fast, stop sitting with it and wondering and having this self-talk. Because this self-talk, which you are unable to share with your partner, is what is going to become war within you.
Okay.
And then eventually it will come out.
Wow.
So what you need to do, please, allow yourself to come to grace and let grace help you resolve the grief.
Good.
Grief is one of the biggest precursor for broken relationships. Because I have my grief issues, but they are not grief. I don't even know what they are. I just feel there is a war within me.
Yeah.
I just feel I'm misunderstood. I just feel I can't open myself completely to you. And then, because I don't want war, what do? I keep the war inside of me until there is a blow-up.
Yeah.
Then I do the unthinkable. For men, you use your fists.
Yeah.
For women, you use your mouth, where you tear this man down. And where you as a man, you hit this woman, that by the time it's finished, everybody is really wondering, does he really love that woman? The woman is also wondering, kwani this love? Now, if you do that, and she has a history where either she saw her mother being done that to, or she herself has been in another relationship that was like that, what you have put a signature that love is not safe.
Yeah.
She will always have a war within herself.
Wow. You see, Grace.
And let me just put the other way.
Yeah.
The man who uses a fist on the woman he loves, he has his own daddy wounds or mommy wounds. You see, it depends on how that young man, from 0 to 15, what was said to him, what was done to him, and how he felt about the situation in his home.
Wow.
Young men who watched their father beat up their mother, they have rage inside of them that precedes these relationships they're having. You see? So, first of all, monkey see, monkey do. Dad, you who beats your wife and you have a son, your son knows the truth that you shouldn't beat a woman. But how does he know when you are angry? So what do you do?
What do you do?
You see, you are not giving your son what you need to do. Unfortunately, the men who in their marriages, they tend to turn into violence towards their wives. Kwa sababu bibi ameongea sana. What happens? They don't come back and call their sons and say, son, you see what happened between me and your mom? That is not right. We should always protect the women we love. And I am working on this son. I know I am a broken man because I also saw my daddy do the same thing. Or I saw my uncles or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
Or I'm a melancholic choleric and I don't know what to do with this intensity of emotions. Son, my behavior is wrong. I'm giving you the wrong message.
Yeah.
And I need you to know your dad is working on it. And I am going to therapy. And I don't want you to do that. I'm going to do my best to make sure I don't beat your mother. Because don't forget, as a man, when you beat your wife, you're beating the mother of your children. Yeah. So your children are experiencing you as a violent person.
Exactly.
Now, women, you never come back and tell your sons or your daughters that how I speak to your father when I am dysregulated is wrong. Monkey see? Monkey do. It is wrong. I shouldn't do that. But I am working on it. And it is a wound I got from your Shosho. Mm-hmm. The way you see Shosho loving you, I was her child. And Shosho was dysregulated just like me. Mm-hmm. I never saw how I am supposed to deal with dysregulation. And I am really sorry that you're having to see that, because as a child, I also saw it. And this generational transmission of dysfunction, Mommy is working so hard to make sure it ends with me, because I don't want you guys to learn to do this.
Wow.
Sasa, hapo, that is healing. So you are not perfect, but you are taking responsibility and accountability. The problem in our society is we feel shame, or we feel we were justified to do that.
Yeah.
We don't make sure that our children don't continue the legacy. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now imagine, Bramwell, this is me doing therapy here by showing what should happen. Mm-hmm. You see?
Yeah.
Repair, it's called repair. Nobody is asking us to be perfect. Mm-hmm. But we need, even in the Bible, we see God whenever he would be, quote unquote, dysregulated. Mm-hmm. So in the book of Judges.
Yeah.
But even in the time when he brought a rainbow, what did the rainbow signify? A promise that he is never going to destroy the world again with water. Isn't that what the rainbow was? Mm-hmm. It was a promise, right?
Yeah.
So even God knows how to repair. Look at him with Adam and Eve. When they went away outside of his will, he was hurt and he was disappointed and he was angry with them. But did he repair? Yes.
Wow.
He found them naked and afraid and wanajificha huko wamevaa twigs. Akawauliza, who told you are naked? You see? Yeah. And then what did he do? He made for them skins. So God is the first person who shed blood for redemption, for repair, for reconciliation. But did they experience the consequences of their choice?
Yes, they did.
Because they were told the day that you eat of this fruit, you will die. And the death was not physical. But there was a lamb that had to die in order for blood to be shed for redemption, repair, reconciliation to happen. Yeah. This is the thing that we don't do in our marriages. Yeah. We do not repair. That is why when you explained about this person who takes on victimhood, and the person, also the perpetrator takes victimhood.
Exactly.
Because they are like, how can you do this to me? I am going to show you who wears the pants in this house. How can you do this? Or the woman who says, unanigonga, ata mimi najua. Yeah. You see? So there is no reconciliation that is happening while we are experiencing this feelings of detachment, disconnect, disillusionment, disappointment, all those. Yeah. Then eventually, the big betrayal will happen when women will start emotional affairs with somebody who is more caring and conversational and is willing to listen. And men will do the same with somebody who is doing the same for them. No. So it is very important for us to understand, in order to create peace within our relationships, we've got to create peace within ourselves. You see?
Yeah. Grace, you've explained so well that I lack what to say. Because I read somewhere, this was somebody's tweet, and he said that harsh reality.
Yes.
The more you tell yourself that you don't want to be like your dad,
yes,
the more you become more of him.
Yes.
And that is exactly what you've explained. Right? You are running away from those skeletons instead of dealing with them.
Dealing with them.
So our biggest problem here, Grace, is that we don't know how to repair.
Yes.
We were not taught how to repair. Wow.
And you see now, the work that I do.
Yeah.
During these sessions of personal therapy, we have to go to the closet. Now, with young people, especially what I have learned lately, with this month is the month of mental health awareness.
Oh, yes.
And one of the things about young people between the ages of 15 and 21, their logical brain has not completely formed.
Yeah.
But their emotional development is at its peak. A child who by the time they were 8, 9, 10 were very chatty and happy, go lucky, suddenly they hit 13 and you see the shift. And they also begin to feel the shift and they are confused about what's happening to them.
Yeah.
So 15 is the time when they really they start to develop emotionally. So they are no longer just existing, they are actually experiencing life. So they are experiencing every emotion. And cognitively, they are questioning some things. So they are also developing cognitively. Now, this is the thing that parents need to understand. When your youth is not talking to you, and they say, I don't know, I don't want to talk about it, they are not being rude. They are actually going through a metamorphosis in their brain. But their brain is not fully formed like yours. Stop telling them stories of how you overcame.
Okay.
Connect with where they are. How it felt for you to be 15, 16, and 17. Please don't do that card of amnesia that you can't remember how you were between the ages of 15 and 19. Remember how it was. Some of us who are sanguine and choleric, that's the time we started to escape through drugs and smoking and sex and pornography and other things. We were just constantly looking for dopamine.
Yeah.
Because our serotonin levels, serotonin is the equalizer hormone. It's the hormone that helps you to regulate. That it was overcome by these other hormones that are so raging, that are new. This feeling when you have a friend and they snitch on you or they talk about you in the back. And we parents, don't pay it any mind, ignore it. No, they can't. They need somebody to hold space for them.
Okay.
You see, even me as a therapist, I normally get quite overwhelmed working with this age group. So for them, we can't do much of childhood healing because they can't handle it.
Wow.
Emotionally, they are not in a space. It overwhelms them. But we can offer them tools on how to move through the process. Holding their hands and saying, son, you are going to be okay, even though right now it feels, while you are going through this time, I am here with you. And one of the things that we can do as parents is to be able to connect with them and tell them, I remember myself being in this space. It was so devastating. And then tell them those stories of running away from home. Unajua siku yetu, me, I'm in my 50s. As we used to run away. Them, we didn't have at your room, at you go and lock yourself in your room. You used to share your room with your 5 sisters. You see? So when you felt a lot of things in your head, you ran away and you went to your aunties or to a friends or whatever. You see, and they would look for you the whole night, but then wherever you are, they would call and say, or they would send a message and say, so and so ako hapa, musijali. You see?
Yeah.
So, but our children today are doing the same thing, but differently. You see?
Wow. Grace,
because of overwhelm.
I want us to take a break for news, but you've now explained to me why tulipenda shosho yetu sana. Truth be told,
yes.
all the four of us tulipenda our paternal grandma to the extent that during the holidays, it was just a walk distance. We would rather spend the whole day there. Tusikae nyumbani.
Yes.
Grace, when we come back, we'll be looking at the questions here.
Yes.
But I want you to explain something to the listener here. You know, we are looking at the war in marriage, and you've explained very well the first stool, the victimhood. I want you to look at these children who the parents are always forcing them to hug others. Usikatae, salamia yeye. All right? Even if they are not comfortable.
Yes.
All right? Even if they are not comfortable. Msalamia, hug uncle. And yet mtoto ataki. I want us to relate that to the wars in marriage. Because there is something that teaches your body when you are in that particular state. That your body is for others. I want us to talk about that when we come back.
All right.
My dear listener, it's getting interesting. So stay tuned to Radio Mini 88.3 FM and keep those questions coming. Don't go too far.
You are tuned to Radio Waumini 88.3 FM.
Radio Waumini, the Christian station with a difference.
The Holy Rosary allows us to salute the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Mother of God, and at the same time ask for her intercession. Pray the Rosary with Radio Waumini at 4:45 a.m. every weekday morning, 5:30 a.m. every weekend, and 8:30 p.m. every day.
Waumini Morning News.
I am sure that Maurice Michael Cardinal Otunga is no stranger to many people in this country and even beyond the borders of this country, because he is a person of many fasts in this country. Maurice Michael Cardinal Otunga was a person who embraced the theological virtues, the virtue of faith, the virtue of hope, the virtue of charity or love.
Kenya, as a country, will be honored to host the 21st Plenary Assembly of AMESEA.
In the news today.
Hearing of the impeachment of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua resumes today. Detectives arrest Nigerian national over drug trafficking allegations. And AFC Leopards to face Ulinzi Stars today at Nyayo National Stadium. Hello to you and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Stakas Harun. The Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops KCCB will host the 21st AMESEA Plenary Assembly from July 18th to 26th of this year at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa. The theme for the plenary is a Messiah Synodal Journey with Young People, Building Bridges of Communion, Hope, Justice and Good Governance. Ahead of the conference, a Messiah Executive Board convened a two-day meeting in Nairobi to oversee the implementation of regional priorities identified during the plenary assembly. AMESA is a regional pastoral solidarity organization for 8 national Catholic bishops' conferences. The countries include Eritrea, Ethiopia, Kenya, Malawi, South Sudan, Tanzania, Uganda and Zambia. Djibouti and Somalia are affiliate members.
Wow Mini News.
Archbishop Philip Anyolo of Nairobi Metropolitan has invited the faithful and people of goodwill to a special dinner in support of the beatification process of the servant of God, Maurice Michael Cardinal Otunga. The dinner, set for Friday, 29th of May of this year, will take place at the Consolata Shrine Alamano Center in Westlands, Nairobi. Declared servant of God in 2010 as per the process of beatification and canonization, the much anticipated process to beatify Maurice Michael Cardinal Otunga started back in 2009.
Wow Mini News.
A 3-judge bench comprising Justices Eric Ogola, Anthony Mrima and Freda Mugambi are set to resume with the hearing of the impeachment of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua at the Milimani Law Courts. The judges are expected to decide whether cardiologist Dr. Daniel Kibuka Gikonyo will be cross-examined over claims linked to the impeachment proceedings. The issue arises from an affidavit filed in court touching on an alleged phone conversation between President William Ruto and Dr. Gikonyo during the period surrounding Gachagua's impeachment. Gachagua is seeking compensation from the state, arguing that he was unlawfully removed from office through a politically driven process that violated constitutional provisions and denied him due process. His legal team, led by Senior Counsel Paul Mwite, maintains that the impeachment process failed to meet constitutional standards required for the removal of a deputy president.
Wow Mini News.
In other news, President William Ruto has extended his appreciation to all participants, sponsors, partners and stakeholders who took part in the just concluded 4th Africa Forward Summit. Writing on behalf of the government of Kenya, the head of state has extended gratitude to the host, President Emmanuel Macron of France, for his support and commitment to championing a renewed and forward-looking partnership between Africa and France. The Africa Forward Summit of this year declaration has outlined expanded commitments on agricultural transformation, food security, and resilient health systems as African and French leaders push for stronger cooperation on sustainable development and economic growth. Emmanuel Macron is France's head of state.
This renewed partnership is the best way to deliver new concrete solutions for dialogues, growth, prosperity, education, health. So I'm very proud to be here, and I want, Mr. President, dear William, to thank you for such a perfect organization, for inviting you here with the First Lady at your table, and for gathering the whole continent and so many representatives of the different fields of this relation in order not just to celebrate, but build concrete results.
Wow Mini News.
Anti-narcotic unit detectives, alongside their counterparts from the Transnational Organized Crime Unit, have arrested a trafficker, recovering 33 sachets of cannabis sativa from his house. The suspect, Nigerian national Christian Uzochukwu, was concerned following intelligence-led investigations that painted him as a key player in a narcotics trafficking network operating within the city. Preliminary investigations have revealed that he was in the country illegally. A thorough search of the house led to recovery of 33 sachets of cannabis sativas neatly packed and ready for distribution. Detectives also recovered 2 passports bearing the suspect's name. The suspect has been escorted to Muthaiga police station for processing pending arraignment.
Wow Mini News.
And across borders, United States President Donald Trump is due to arrive in Beijing today evening, the first visit to China by U.S. President in nearly a decade, as he seeks to mend power and prestige weakened by the war in Iran. The U.S. boss is bringing a host of top business and technology industry executives in his trip to China this week. Among those joining the president on his official trips to Beijing are Tim Cook of Apple, Elon Musk of Tesla and SpaceX, Larry Fink of BlackRock, as well as other executives from Meta. The trip is seen as important for the U.S. as Trump will meet with President Xi Jinping at a time of growing economic and technological animosity between the two countries.
Wow Mini News.
This is Radio Wow Mini, the Catholic radio for all. Remember to follow us on X at radio_Wow Mini. www.radiomini.co.ke stands to be our website. Now let's get sporty. FC Leopards are set to face Ulinzi Stars today at the Nyayo National Stadium in a match that could shape the destiny of the season of both clubs. Ingwe currently sits at position 2 with 58 points as Ulinzi Stars battles relegation at position 16 with 32 points. Gor Mahia are leading the table with 65 points. We'll keep you updated on what's happening here at home and across our borders in our subsequent bulletin. My name is Takas Harun. Business news is next in 8 seconds' time.
Radio Wow Mini updates you fast.
Wow Mini 88.3 FM.
Business news brought to you by Etika Capital Limited. With Etika Capital Limited, you can open an investment account digitally on our website www.etikacap.com or download our app on Play Store or iOS to get started. Etika Capital is licensed as a fund manager by the Capital Markets Authority. A very, very good morning and a warm welcome to this broadcast. Grocery traders in both Maua and Lare Market in Meru County are now raising concerns over an acute tomato shortage that has pushed prices to record highs, forcing some traders to suspend sales altogether as consumers are struggling with the rising cost of living. The traders say prolonged rains, high fuel prices, poor road networks, and increased farming costs have disrupted supply chains, leaving markets with little or sometimes no stock. A kilogram of tomatoes currently costs up to 100 shillings at the farm, forcing the traders to retail the produce at 120 shillings to make minimal profits.
Uzaji wa nyanya, lakini imenishinda kuuza saa hii juu zinabaki na zinaribika. Inanipea hasara, bei imeenda juu.
Kwa saa hizi tuko na changamoto kali sana. Kwa vile bei ya nyanya imeenda juu sana.
Moving on swiftly, nominated Senator Karen Nyamu now wants all street vendors in Nairobi County to be allocated designated spaces to carry out their businesses to provide a balance of their livelihoods of informal traders with the need for order, safety, and hygiene in the city center. The senator is calling on the county government to fast-track a more conducive trading environment for all the street vendors who have lately become a nuisance.
Ya hao watu ambao wametolewa CBD. Order ni mzuri, lakini lazima to balance. Watu wapate livelihood yao, kwa sababu hapo ndio mnasomeshea watoto, hapo ndio mnakula nyinyi wenyewe, na hizo ndio kazi mnafanya, na tunawasupport sana. Nataka mjue tunawatambua na tunawasupport kwa hiyo kazi yenu. Na mimi nitakuwa mstari wa kwanza. Kile kitu mnataka kufanya environment yenu ikuwe environment nzuri ya biashara.
Stakeholders and experts in food and agriculture sector have called for collaborative efforts to reinforce food safety, reduce food loss, and improve nutrition across Africa through establishment of sustainable and inclusive food systems. Egerton University Vice-Chancellor Professor Isaac Kibwage emphasized the urgency of addressing gaps in food safety, fortification, and waste management to ensure healthier populations and thriving economies. The Food Safety for Africa initiative is funded by the European Union in collaboration with Kenya, Benin, Cameroon, Ghana, Nigeria, and South Africa. Looking at what is happening in our agri-markets, a kilo of French beans is trading at 170 shillings. This comes even as a kilo of tomatoes in Kajiado County is trading at 120 shillings. In conclusion, a kilo of fresh green capsicums is trading at 190 shillings. You're now up to date from the financial desk. Christopher Akwenda is my name. Have a good morning and a blessed day ahead.
Business News was brought to you by Etika Capital Limited. With Etika Capital Limited, you can open an investment account digitally on our website www.etikacap.com or download our app on Play Store or iOS to get started. Etika Capital is licensed as a fund manager by the Capital Markets Authority.
This is the Bible as it is.
The book of 2nd Chronicles chapter 9. Thus all Israel was inscribed in its family records, which are recorded in the book of Kings of Israel. Now Judah had been carried into captivity to Babylon because of its rebellion. The first to settle again in the cities and dwell there were certainly Israelites, the priests, the Levites, and the temple slave. In Jerusalem lived Judahites and Benjamites, also Ephraimites and Manasshites. Among the Judahites was Uthai, son of Amihad, son of Omri, son of Imri, son of Bani. One of the descendants of Perez, son of Judah. Among the Shelonites were Asaiah, the firstborn, and his sons. Among the Zerahites were Juel and 690 of their brethren. Among the Benjamites were Salih, son of Meshullam, son of Odoviah, son of Hasenua, Benaiah, son of Jeroham, Elah, son of Uzi, son of Michri, Meshullam, son of Shephatiah, son of Reuel, son of Ibnijah. The kindred of various families were 956. All those named were heads of their ancestral houses.
The reading from the Bible, as it is written, was taken from the African Bible.
The Catholic Radio for All.
88.3 FM.
The Catholic Radio for All.
St. Joseph the Waka Technical Training Center Kangemi inatangaza udhahili wa Mei mwaka 2026 umefunguliwa rasmi, yani Mei 2026 intake. Tumsifu Yesu Kristo. Shule ya ufundi ya St. Joseph the Waka Training Center Kangemi inaotangazia kuwa intake ya mwezi wa Mei mwaka wa 2026 umefunguliwa rasmi. Tunatoa fursa za ufadhili wa sehemu, yani partial scholarships, kwa wanafunzi wanaotamani kupata ujuzi wa vitendo unaohitajika katika soko la ajira. Kozi zinazotolewa: kozi za ufundi ngazi ya daraja la 3 hadi daraja la 1, yani vocational courses grade 3 to 1 zenye fursa za ufadhili wa sehemu, yani partial scholarship. Maombi yanapokelewa kwa kozi zifuatazo: ubunifu wa mavazi, yani fashion design, urembo na ususi wa nywele, hair dressing and beauty, ufugaji wa mifumo ya umeme, yani electrical installation, cheti cha usimamizi wa ukarimu na upishi, hospitality management and catering. Fursa za ufadhili wa sehemu zinapatikana: cheti cha upigaji picha, utengenezaji wa video na uundaji wa maudhui ya kidijitali, yani photography, videography and digital content creation. Mafunzo ya kompyuta, yani computer packages training. Usajili wa Mei unaendelea kwa wanaojidhamini, yani self-sponsored. Namna ya kutuma maombi: waombaji wanakaribishwa kutembelea chuo cha St. Joseph Training Center Kangemi wakiwa na kitambulisho cha taifa, yani ID. Barua la ombi la kufadhiliwa: ada ya awali ya shilingi 5,000 kwa kozi fashion design, hair dressing and beauty, electrical installation, hospitality management and catering, photography, videography and digital content creation, computer packages training. Mwisho wa kutuma maombi ni tarehe 10 mwezi wa Mei mwaka huu wa 2026. Kwa mengi zaidi, wasiliana nasi kupitia nambari 0701 218 638.
Waumini FM, home of carefully selected music to suit the whole family. Waumini FM.
This is Waumini Soul Food. Live by design with Grace Karaoke.
I choose peace over everything, over the money, over the blame, over the drama, over the fame.
Men hated Jesus. By that time, it was too late. There were hundreds of people who believed in Jesus. So they tortured them and killed them, and they even left their bodies to rot as an example to other people. But the church kept right on growing, watered by the blood of these precious saints.
What, Dad? Did they want to die?
No. They didn't want to die. I mean, many of them had children just like you that they had to leave behind. But they were forced to make a choice. I mean, they could choose to live this one life here on earth and reject Jesus and be damned. Or they could choose to believe in the words of Jesus and live forever.
I think I understand.
Here, maybe this will help you understand.
I have heard how Christians long ago were brought before a tyrant's throne, and they were told that he would spare their lives if they would renounce the name of Christ. But one by one they chose to die. The Son of God they would not deny. The great angelic choir sings, I can almost hear their voices ring. I pledge allegiance to the land with all my strength, with all I am. I will seek to honor His commands. I pledge allegiance to the
I pledge my allegiance to the Lamb on Radio Mini 88.3 FM, the Catholic radio station for all, ushering us into the final hour. This beautiful conversation, my dear listener. What are we talking about today? We are talking about building peace, all right, in the middle of differences in our marriage, in our marriages. That is exactly what Grace has been taking us through, and we are back, all right. Grace is here. If you have a question, feel free, 0712223385 or on Facebook page Radio Mini 88.3 FM. Before we went on a break, Grace actually took us deeper, okay, on how we end up being victims, okay, in this triangle of war in our marriages. And Grace, I promised before we start looking at questions, how our marriages are a reflection of our upbringing. I don't know if I'm right to say that.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
It is because we do, even in parenting, we parent the way we were parented.
Yes,
Even in our marriages, we will build or design our marriages the way we saw it with our parents. Having said that, Grace, we have this category of parents who are good and they mean well.
Yes.
Okay, they are good Christians for that matter.
Yes.
All right, and they believe that they need to train their children to learn to be social, to be good to people.
Yes.
So they go to an extent of saying, my child, salamia uncle. They meet any strangers, you say hi. All right, mimi najuana na so and so. My child, my son does not know this person, but when my child resists to say hi or to hug this person, I force them, especially with hugging, not saying hi, hugging.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
Hug him, okay? And yet my child doesn't want.
Yes.
All right? Tell me, Grace, because this particular act of forcing our children to do the very thing that they don't want to do.
Yes.
For example, hugging those people they feel they should not hug or they don't want, creates what we call a people-pleasing, okay? People-pleasing pattern within our system.
Yes.
It teaches our body that our body is for others. And that discomfort is something, discomfort is something to endure, not to address. Take it now to what we are talking about here. We have people who are okay.
Yes.
All right? Because they are not being beaten.
Yes.
They are not being lashed with harsh words.
Yes.
Okay? So long as there is no physical fight, nitavumilia tu. Link the upbringing of that particular child to what we're talking about today in our marriages.
Right. So that is actually how we socialize and condition our children, and we now the people who are in relationships and in marriages, that is the way we were conditioned. How does that impact your system? It causes you to feel you have no control. You see? Because now I have to do what the grown-ups are forcing me to do. This can be hugging your parents' friends, even if you don't feel like hugging them, but you have to do that because it's the right thing to do. And we are not saying that it is not the right thing to do. But we need to understand the reason. We need to be more curious about why the child holds back the physical affection towards other people. Look at it even for yourself, whether your child hugs you freely. So that now when you are forcing them to hug uncle, to hug whoever, you need to understand whether you are forcing them to go against what their body feels safe about. And if it's a child who used to and then they stopped, before you continue to perpetuate this feeling of discomfort within their nervous system, you need to figure out what happened. This question of when we ask children, kwa nini una? That is a challenge. It's an interrogation. It's not an invitation for an understanding conversation. What we need to ask is to say, son or daughter, I notice that lately you don't like hugging people. What happened? And then watch their body language. Communication has 3 aspects: body language, tone of voice, and words that people use. Pay attention. I am telling you, if you are an adult, please take some classes on emotional intelligence and do that with your intimate relationships in mind. Not your marriage only, but your relationship with your children. What could they be feeling? You know, emotional intelligence has 4 tenets: self-awareness, self-regulation, other awareness. How are other people experiencing what is going on with within this space, including your children? And then understand that your children also are very different. Just watch. You have 4 kids. You will find out that probably 2 of them, they don't mind. They run and hug everyone. You see. But 2 of your other kids, one of them anakataanga kabisa. Now yule mwingine ako, they won't run for it. But if you ask them, they will go. You see. And that child who, if you ask, they will go, that's a flag child. The ones who run, those are the sanguines, you see.
Okay.
And the melancholic child is going to be the one who resists being forced to do things.
Na sisi tuko hapo, Grace.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So one of the things, emotional intelligence by itself is a way of learning who you are and who other people are. You see?
Yeah.
So that we practice more curiosity and compassion for others than criticism and judgment.
Good.
Seek to understand. Have this conversation for understanding, not for you to find a reason to put them down, to punish, or to reward, for that matter.
Yeah.
So one of the things I remember, in my home, there was myself. Our family was not a hugging family, but me, I loved when we had visitors. And I would go say hi and then sit around somewhere to listen to their conversations. I will tell you one of the reasons I did that. That was the only time I saw my mom and dad having a sober conversation.
Look at that.
You see? And they would have these stories and I would feel great just listening to them, especially my dad.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know my father but I didn't interact with him on a daily basis until I was around 6, 7 there. Because he worked away. So when we now started living, all of us together, I was very intrigued by this man. Then my father was a tall guy, and I adored him. So I would my father was very quiet. But when there were people around, I could see him engaging in conversations, and it was so nice because he didn't engage us in conversations. You see? And then during that time, there are conversations between them now, my parents and these other people. They were very peaceful. But when they were just the two of them, it was a war zone, you see, where they did this thing of arguing and going like logical fights. And whenever I would hear my father say, sasa unataka kushindana, bas, najua sasa leo, mimi na nightmares, wetting the bed, fear. And so we need to understand that our children are experiencing our environment. And let me tell married people, stop lying to yourself that because you are fighting in your bedroom, your children can't hear you.
Thank you.
I have heard a lot of individuals who say, their ears, because your child has been socialized by the environment to know that there is no peace in this house. And so they are very sensitive. And especially your melancholic child. All of them, the melancholic child, because they are analyzers, they keep the information in their head and they keep playing it over and over again. Your sanguine child is the one who will escape in something and avoid thinking about it. Your phlegmatic child is the freeze child, who is going to be neutral. And then you have your choleric child who is going to act on how they are feeling. And it is important for us to understand that your children are not necessarily acting out of nothing. The environment you are creating for them is triggering how they are going to show up in their daily experience. Because usually with unsafe relationships, we can't predict the outcome, and so we walk around on eggshells a lot. So going back to what you asked, if your child doesn't want to hug people, please step back and actually try to think what they are feeling. Why, the reasons why. So one of the reasons may be temperament. It may be just, this is a child who likes their personal space. They don't like to be touched. But pay attention to how they were when they were babies. You see? Now, sometimes your child is refusing to touch people because of the house girl who raised them.
Wow.
Maybe the touch was not safe while you are at work. Maybe the child who is very clingy to you is the child who was treated badly by the house girl while you were working and you didn't know. And they didn't have language. The moment they see you, they come running, they cry even when they see you. It's like relief. Mom is here. Dad is here. Now I am safe. You see? So we do need to also equip ourselves with understanding human behavior. And that's why I am here. And I usually listen to Radio Waumini. We have so many behavioral psychologists. We have many family psychologists who come here and talk. Let's take this seriously. Me, I'm a family therapist and a marriage and family therapist, but I am trauma informed. You see? So I come into this space understanding that there is a system that was set up when people were born. And that system has continued to affect and impact how they develop.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, this person who was forced to do things, let's just put it even food.
Yes.
Children that we force to eat. You know what happens when they grow up? There are some things they refuse. They won't eat this food, they won't eat that food. That's a trauma response. You see, children who are afraid to speak in front of people, even though they are very eloquent, the moment they want to speak, they have to speak in front of people. Inside them, their system is shaking and they have a lot of anxiety. It's because they were humiliated at some point when they spoke up. Now, I always tell people that I had a trauma response to singing. When I used to love to sing as a kid. Then, when I was 10, we had moved to a new place, and they asked, so I wanted to join the school choir. And I went and I did, at 6 years old, I had sung in the Sunday school, and people celebrated me a lot for my act and song. So 4 years later, I come to a new school and I want to be, 10 years is about class 4, isn't it? So I want to be in the school choir. I auditioned and they tell me no. From then on, I was going to prove I can sing. And now it became it started to show up now in my 20s.
Okay.
Because when I went to church, I wanted to be a singer in the church. So I joined the singing group. And I remember, if I didn't sing right, if anything happened that made me feel like I'm not doing it right, it would create so much anxiety in me. Do you know today, in my 50s, I don't even, I remember the church that I was a worship leader and a song and a singing group member was back in my 20s, where I was so passionate about that. But when I look back, part of it was, and God used it anyway, but part of it was a trauma response.
Okay.
And now when I got to my 30s and I started to do the work I do now, so that opportunity to do all of that kind of faded away, and my passion shifted. I still did a lot of work in church, in singing and leading worship, but in my 40s, that shifted now to motherhood and wifehood and working. And I remember when I came back to Kenya, and my former pastor came to visit our church, and he saw me seated on the pew, and he asked the pastor, "Why is that Lady Grace sitting in the pew?" Why? Because he remembers what a force I was in my 20s. But now I am not in that space anymore. Again, but I joined the choir this week, this year. So I am singing in our church choir. But what am I saying? The point is, our experience in our development years has a lot of weight when it comes to the way we are experiencing life today and how we are reacting to the things which are happening. And one of the now you can imagine a child, somebody like me, if I were to still have the trauma of rejection in the choir at 10, if I had never resolved that, and today I'm married and I have to be in church and I have to be everywhere in church because I'm proving that I'm good enough. And then my husband is constantly asking, you are spending so much time in church. But he doesn't, why am I fighting his desire for me to reduce that?
Yeah.
I'm fighting that because it's a trauma response.
Wow.
I have not resolved some trauma. You see?
Good. I like that. And you see, Grace, we've been socialized.
Yes.
The reason as to why I asked that question is because most of us have been socialized that discomfort is something to endure. Not to deal with or not to address. Listen to these questions from Fidelima.
Yes.
Hello, Bramwell and Grace. What do we say to forgive and move on marriages? Can I still marry him in church if we have a calm to stay marriage and yet we don't talk in the house? Can you forgive him all the offenses and still marry him in church? Then you continue staying with him silently, cause sometimes when you talk, the guy starts attacking you violently. Fidelima.
Yes. Now, one of the things that now Fidelima's, if this is her marriage, what she did when they got married, and any time they were to deal with a conflict, her husband's way of managing conflict was to assert power.
Okay.
So what did she do? Then she went into what? You see the three legs you had. It was people pleasing.
People pleasing, that is being a villain.
Yeah.
And then being Mr. Fix-It.
Yes.
Right.
So what she did is she learned, in order for me to be safe, ninanyamaza.
Okay.
You see? And especially if he started off by being verbally violent, so he shuts you down. And then number two, it became physical violence. Anyone is going to protect themselves in that kind of a marriage. So what happened, you see, even her husband who is violent, he's also experiencing some sort of feelings of being unsafe. But because we don't have the language to say, hey, I don't like the way you talk to me, or to be able to say, mimi nimechoka, tafadhali nikifika nyumbani usianze kuniletea mambo ya shida. Allow me time. Ama we say, why don't we spend Saturday morning when I am not at work and when you are at home, and we can sit down and check in. How is the family doing? What are the things that are happening? The man who uses violence to control the outcome of a conversation, that man is a wounded man. The woman who is with that man is also wounded, and so she is going to do what all of us do, is to keep quiet so that it doesn't escalate.
Okay.
Now, this thing of having a wedding in church, me, I want to know. I have many curious questions. Why?
Okay.
What is it that, is it you, the woman, who is saying, I need to have a certificate, a legal paper that says that we are married? Now, we want to look at, I know that these days the Marriage Act, I think there is a need and a push for people to legalize their marriage. So you can either do it in church, you can go to the AG's office. There are many ways of doing that. What you want to ask yourself as the woman is whether you are seeking for a church wedding for the feeling of connection, not connection, but belonging.
Yeah.
You see? Now, the thing is, if he is resisting that, then you do need to ask yourself, what are you hearing him say? What is he saying?
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What is it that he is saying? Now, this is what I hear all the time, Bramwell. Men who say, is that paper more important than what I have invested? So we need to understand marriage is not only social and emotional, but it is also legal. And all of them, they need to exist together. So you as a guy, you need to understand that you know, we normally say ulifunga pingu za maisha. That statement is bad.
Yes, it's threatening, surely.
It's like I have no choice. But you see, you have a choice because you are the one who chose to be in that state. You need to ask yourself as a man, when I decided to get married, what was my vision? Because if you don't communicate your vision, then you constantly think your wife is trying to have power over you. And so what are you going to do? Because you don't feel safe, you are going to assert power. And marriage is not about power play. It's about partnership. Communication is such a deep, it's such a deep and wide subject. And I think we should use that, because one of the ways to create peaceful existence is effective, considerate, compassionate conversations. You see? When we don't have that, we are still communicating, but we are communicating things that trigger our unhealed woundedness. So when you shout at me, I am reminded of how my mother used to shout, my father used to shout. You see, when you withhold your presence, goodness, conversation from me, you remind me of how I used to feel lonely at home. Nobody paid attention to me. If I started to speak, nilinyamazishwa. You see? So when we are talking about what is it that we need to do in our marriages to create peace instead of war, this is what I want people to hear. Number one, listen to understand. Let's not listen to refute. If we don't, and so two people come to me for relationship counseling, and they have the same need, is to be understood, to be seen. Understanding another person communicates to them that you see them and you value them. So seek to understand. Number two, pause before reacting. When you pause before reacting, and I'm saying before you give your opinion, your differing opinion, pause so that you can understand where they are coming from, so that you can respond, not react. And this is one of the things that we can do. Clarify what you've heard. Say things like, help me understand what it is I did to hurt you. You say, I am owning and I am expressing accountability. These big fights of what I call these logical fights, they are not helpful. It's a war zone. However, I want to be able to understand, where is my partner coming from with this question they are asking? And you who is asking questions, be curious. Stop criticizing, stop judging, and stop comparing. And then this is the other thing that we do wrong, is when we know the pain of our partner's past, and we tell them, you're acting like this because. You say, because you are father, because you are mother. Immediately when you do that, they are going to resist you. And they are going to go into now either counterattack, or they are going to come at you, or they are going to just shut down. I cannot talk to you when you get there. So it's important. Number two, allow your partner to hear you say, I hear your frustration and I'm interested to hear more about it. Or give feedback. Why he?
Yeah, feedback.
Hey, give feedback. What I'm hearing you say is that you are very frustrated because we agreed and I never did. You see? And I can see how that is frustrating for you. You see? So allow yourself to be able to say that instead of the way that we... Sasa unanikasirikia kwa nini? Hiyo ni kitu ya kukasirika. Let's not do that. That is called invalidation, and it does not help intimacy. And we talked about intimacy. It's not just about physical intimacy. It's emotional, social, it is logical, or what we call that intellect, where we are connecting intellectually. By the way, so if instead of me having this intellectual fight with you, questioning the way you think, that I can say something as simple as, Bramwell, nikifikiria, even though I don't agree with you, but I can see how you would think like that. Unaona?
Yeah.
That is validation. That is calling you and connecting with you. Those are simple things that we can do, but we normally think that it's like kuchocha. No, that is what human relationships need.
Okay.
Think about the times when the person you feel very safe with, what do? They don't mirror you. What they do is they hold space for you. They sit there and they say, I can see Aki. Hey, even if it was me, this is how I would feel. You see, that is connection. That is human connection and validation of how people feel. That's not a fact, but it's the fact of your feeling. You see, the other thing we want to do is when you guys have an issue that keeps recurring and you end up fighting each other, try to tell each other, let's solve this issue, this problem together instead of fighting each other. When you guys are in a space where you realize this situation doesn't get resolved, go by yourself and create a problem-solving strategy for the situation, the way you see it. And each one of you, if you do that, the next time you come back to this difficult conversation, come and tell each other, I sat down and I wrote down how I think we could solve this. And then the other person says, even me, I did the same. You see, bring those two things on the table and refuse to fight each other. Honor how your partner thinks. Be curious. Be interested. You see, be intrigued. You see what I'm saying? Because that in itself is going to create peace. Kofi Annan and other people that we know who have been mediators, that's what they do. They listen to both sides.
Yeah.
And that's what I do when you come to me. I listen to both sides. I validate what each one. And this is the interesting thing, Bramwell. Every time I do that, we come to the same conclusion. Both of you are looking for the same thing.
Look at that.
You are just expressing it differently. Because of your personality. And what is your personality? It is your temperament plus your experience in life. You see? So if you are choleric sanguine, you think as you talk. If you are a phlegmatic melancholic, you listen and then you process and then you are going to speak.
Wow.
But what does your partner think? They are thinking that you're not interested. And you need to communicate. When it comes to communication, remember, your body language and your tone of voice and your words, they must be together. So I must be able to say to my partner as a phleg, just because I'm not, so this is the way it should go. You know, there are times when we talk and I don't say anything and you usually feel like I'm not interested in the conversation. And this is one of those days. I'm hearing what you are saying. However, the way you know me and the way I know myself, I need some time to process it. Would you allow me to process this and then we talk about it later today?
Wow.
But if you are a phlegmatic, always remember your self-preservation space is avoidance. Don't use that as an excuse to avoid. Go and actually process it. But the self-talk is very important. Don't go and start fighting them in your head.
Good. Grace, I have, we don't have time,
Yes.
but listen to these.
Yes.
Favored Rosie, just call me silent listener.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I've mentioned your name. I didn't see that. Okay, now should I read? Kindly give me the go ahead if you want me to read, okay? Now that I mentioned your name, give me the go ahead. But let me jump to another one here. Hi Bram, uliza Madam Kariuki, what do you do? Because my man tumekuwa kwa relationship in for 5 years, sijawahi ona akizima simu usiku, akifika kwa nyumba, nini haswa inaendelea, for I feel I'm not safe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, so I feel I'm not safe. That is a very self-aware statement.
Okay.
So I want to ask her, do you mean you're not safe physically? Do you mean you're not safe intimacy-wise? Are you afraid that maybe he's cheating, emotionally cheating with other women, like flirting and having those conversations? What kind of safety are you lacking in that space? Number 2, when you say he never turns off his phone, does that mean he doesn't sleep? So when we talk about thinking patterns, so that is more of the pattern that we call catastrophizing.
Okay.
So allow yourself to actually say that, you know, he doesn't look at the phone between the hours of 11 and 6. Because when your brain tells you he never turns off the phone, then what is the brain feeling? That this person is constantly. So if you go and tell them you never turn off your phone, you are always on the phone, the person will go into defense mode, because that's not factually true.
Yeah.
It is more of your pain and your feeling of abandonment that you are expressing. So you might want to communicate better by saying, when you come home and you stay on your phone the whole evening, you take away the opportunity for us to connect. And I am wondering, what's that about? Would you help me understand what is going on? Now, if your partner becomes defensive, then you can also ask, I notice and I realize that what my question has made you feel frustrated, and I am just wondering, is it that you don't want me to ask about that? You say. Now, finally, what you can do, if you guys have a good relationship and you want the marriage, please seek professional counseling.
Yeah.
Because the process when now, and this is the thing, hawa watu wanaitwanga nani sanguines, especially sanguine cholerics, they tend to desire and want this outside, this dopamine triggers. Wanataka connect all the time. They are constantly avoiding boredom.
Good.
They are constantly avoiding alone time. But you see, if they are married to a melancholics are very, very comfortable with time alone, and they long for them and their spouse to sit and just have intimate time.
Good.
You see, now the cholerics sanguines, their idea of a date is to go and piga makelele somewhere with other people. But you see, the intimacy that the idea of a melancholic spouse of a nice, quiet, a date is a nice, quiet, just me and you. And you see, the choleric sanguine is constantly running away from quiet.
Yeah.
And especially if they are not very sure, wako na ADHD, wako everywhere. They need to learn how to calm themselves down, so that they need to understand there is an obligation of connecting with their partner.
Good.
Yes.
Leave it at that because of the time.
Yeah.
My dear listener, I hope you've picked what Grace has said.
Yes.
Don't be quick to judge.
Yes.
Don't rush into action. Because of the different personalities Grace has given you. You might, already there is a conversation that is going on in her mind.
Yes.
There is something fishy.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Kill that conversation because it is the one that is going to push you to take a step that is not necessary. And that is why Grace will be giving her number at the end of the show so that you can have a private talk. Yes, Favored Rosie has given me a go ahead to read. Yes. And I say, greetings, Bram and Grace. Beautiful conversation. In the same place with the person, Fidelima, we did my wedding so as to be at the table of the Lord, but it was a long journey even on the material day. Thank you. Look at what we've just explained.
Yes. So the I would say for Fidelima, if you guys are wanting to, and you have agreed, because marriage is about agreement. If you have agreed you want to do a church wedding, please take that opportunity to go through marital therapy. So that there is no way. Akuna kitu inside. Let me just very quickly. Avoid insults, contempt, silent treatment. These three things are not going to build your relationship. And so go to find time and money to come and do some 6 sessions with me. I will help you, the two of you, find the root cause, but also now develop this, regulate before the hard conversations, truth without cruelty.
Good.
Mimi nasemanga tu vile ninafikiria. Please don't do that. You are destroying your relationship.
Asante.
Yes.
Good morning, Bram. Kindly, I want to talk to your visitor in studio, Grace, aside. Therefore, I request for her contact to give her. Okay, Grace, so many people are requesting for your contact.
Yes.
Kindly go ahead, give your number.
0797 490 404. 0797 490 404.
Yes, get that number, my brother Peter, and many others who are requesting for Grace number 0797 490 404.
Yes.
Get that number, drop a text, and Grace will create time for you. Grace, thank you so much for your time this morning. A beautiful, beautiful, beautiful session we've had.
Yes.
And we've learned a lot. There is a lot to talk about, by the way.
Oh, so
including,
much.
we've forgotten, sacrifice.
Yes.
We want to talk about that, but time is not, because, you know, to create a balance.
Yes.
Creating a balance, you know, there is that feeling I need to be in control.
Yes.
Okay. But now sacrifice demands me to let some control go.
Yes.
So how do we create that balance?
Yes.
That conversation will actually be ours to focus on.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Grace, for your time.
It's been my pleasure.
And I wish you the rest of the week. Umaliza salama.
Yes.
Till we meet again next week, God willing.
Amen.
All right.
Thank you.
My dear listener, that has been our time. 0404. Do have a productive Wednesday. Kwaheri.
The Catholic Radio for All.
Habari njema kwako wewe ambaye ungependa kukuza kipaji chako cha mziki. Sasa hivi studio yetu ya Radio Waumini Recording Studio inakupatia fursa ya kipekee kujifunza aina mbalimbali za ala za mziki. Ndiyo, aina mbalimbali za ala za mziki katika mandhari mazuri na salama kwa wanafunzi na kwa ratiba inayokufaa wewe. Jifunze kutoka kwa wataalamu wetu ili uweze kucheza kwa ustadi ala kama keyboard, guitar, violin, drum sets, saxophone, music theory na mengineyo mengi. Njoo uweze kujikuza kimziki, uongeze ujuzi wako na uanze safari ya ubunifu katika studio yetu yenye vifaa bora. Kwa maelezo zaidi, tembelea Radio Waumini Recording Studio leo au piga simu 0796 377 373 au 0723 156 831. 0723 156 831. Nyote mwalikwa.
This is Radio Waumini.
You are listening to Radio Waumini, the Catholic radio for all.
In the news today.
Bishop Cleophas Osseso of the Catholic Diocese of Nakuru has warned politicians against using churches as campaign platforms as the country nears 2027 general elections. According to Bishop Osseso, churches must remain sacred places dedicated to worship, prayer, and the proclamation of the Word of God.
Sisi tunatafuta